There may already be a video about this iceberg already, but I don't give a heck. I wanted to do a video on something I enjoy. And oh baby, do I enjoy me some Mega Man. The games, the music, the characters, the porn. But for real, I'm not some Mega Man expert. I don't know the entire lore from beginning to end, but I do enjoy this series a lot. I stole this iceberg from Twitter. It was posted by SnowRunPyro, and this boy has over 180 entries. I didn't ask for permission because I don't give a heck. There's already a few Mega Man iceberg videos out there. There's one by a very popular Mega Man YouTuber, and some other ones are in Spanish, but I don't give a heck. So how about I stop with the talking and get onto layer 1. The pause trick is a trick that can be used in Mega Man 1. It happens when you press the select button after you shoot a weapon. It's most well known and used on the Yellow Devil. For some reason the invincibility frames reset after unpausing, and it makes him a quick fight since he's very difficult for most people. But you can also use the trick on enemies and robot masters too. The Cataclysm Theory is a very popular animation by Bob and George. They made other comedic Mega Man comics before, but this one is a more serious take, and it's a theory about when Zero kills the entire classic cast, and most of the fans dislike it, but there are some fans that do enjoy it and want it to be canon. But those are only the edgy ones, and back when I was edgy, I probably would have thought this theory would have been the most epic thing ever, but now I'm even more edgy and I don't give a heck about this. It's kinda dumb and it's very easily debunked. But yeah, it's got poor animation, the voice acting is not even good, and it has a lot of profanity in it. It's crude and unfunny when it tries to be funny, and you know, it's just not good. It's all your fault. You Legends fans ruined it for everybody. I hope you're happy. At least according to Capcom. Well, it was actually Capcom's European Twitter who said it, blaming the lack of fan involvement. It was supposed to release back in September of 2010 on the 3DS, and there was going to be a prototype release before the full release with 10 levels in it, but when the game got cancelled, the prototype was also cancelled. And according to some of the voice actors, the prototype was almost finished too. This is a mini-boss in X6 and it's fought in Blaze Heatnix's stage. It's very infamous for being fought many times, and you have to go through at least 5 of them. The mini-boss has a bit of an Ouroboros design inspiration. You know, the snake that's eating itself infinitely. But yeah, players really hate this guy. It has 4 weaknesses that you have to destroy before it's dead. And like I said, you gotta kill 5 of them before you reach the boss. But I would rather play this stage than Ground Scarovich's stage any day. Very infamous for being poorly made and difficult. Most of the levels are very different from the usual Mega Man stages. And this game was created by one man, Stefan Rosner. There's only 2 games in the series and they both have unique robot masters. There's Mega Man 1 and Mega Man 3, 2 being skipped because 3 was the newest game at the time, and most of the Robot Masters portraits in Mega Man 3 have a lot of similarities to other Robot Masters in the NES games. There's also a 20-minute long documentary on YouTube by Gaming Historian about Mega Man DOS, so if you want to know more, I'll leave a link in the description. This is a supposed quote by KJ Inafune about Mega Man 7's final boss, and yeah, it's very difficult. It takes like 1 hit point of damage each time you hit it, and it's only weak to like 2 weapons, and Mega Man 7 is not even that good of a game. Fight me. This may be referring to how the classic series, the ZX series, are in a different timeline from the Battle Network series. The Battle Network series takes place in a different universe where people use these AI characters called Navis, which most of them are based off of Robot Masters from the classic series. Battle Network doesn't follow the same story or events from the classic series, and some could say Legends could be its own timeline too, but we're not really too sure about that, or at least I'm not. Or maybe it means after X8 and Command Mission, there's another timeline that splits off that we don't know about or heard about. but apparently Command Mission is also canon too, but I don't even know, man. There's way too many timelines. There may also be other timelines where like different events happen a different way. I don't even know, man, but I think that's just theory territory. In 21XX, the world lost a great hero. During an investigation of an abandoned production factory where Mavericks had been seen at, X and the green biker dude quickly went there, and as they got closer, they were both shot at by the enemy. And tragically, as the green biker dude was showing off a sick wheelie, he was struck by the enemy. X, seeing what had happened, vowed vengeance for the loss of a great hero and his best friend. Thus began X's true reason to hunt down Sigma and put an end to Mavericks. And to save Zero or something, but nobody cares about Zero. This is the strangest episode on the Ruby Spears Mega Man cartoon. It was from the second season, and the quality of the episode started to go downhill during this season. Not that the first season was great, but compared to the second one, you know, it's better than that. In this episode, Wily sends out his robots to check a comet crash site where they meet these lion men. And they have the ability to turn humans into lion men just by looking at them, and Mega Man's gotta stop them. The entire series is very cheesy with dumb one-liners and stuff. But yeah, Season 2 just ramps it up. This is most likely referring to a Japanese song, also known as doujin music, or in other words, an internet meme song. It's about the singer not being able to beat Airman, and Airman is pretty difficult even with his weakness, at least for me. And in the Japanese version, I think he's a bit harder to beat, but I could be wrong. But yeah, later in the same song he talks about not being able to beat Woodman, who I also struggle with even with his weakness, but that's probably because I just suck at Mega Man. The Wily Pipe shows up in many of his castles. What the heck is it for? And why does Wily always have a random pipe somewhere on his castle? Even some of the Game Boy games have it. It's an anomaly, and it's seemingly put up at random. In the grand scheme of things, it's probably just a pipe, but it is kinda strange that there's a random pipe somewhere on his castle. This is an infamous port for early Apple devices. The game has a weird smudged look to it, kinda like one of those ugly game filters. All the sprites were remade and redrawn, and you can also purchase weapons and armor parts for real money to make the game easier for you. The entire port wasn't really well made. There's no extra lives or power-ups. There's transitions from screen to screen. It's just not good. Besides, there's way better ways to enjoy the first X game. In 03, Omega takes over control of Zero's original body. Now, to my knowledge, I think the body is the exact same body that he used in Mega Man X, but it just looks different because of the art style change. Omega Zero has a darker shade of red, and you fight him as the final boss. And maybe I'm just crazy and getting into theory territory, but maybe what they meant is Omega and Zero's old body is what Zero was originally supposed to be, a heartless killing machine. Just like how we saw him in X4 during the flashback. But yeah, that's the big reveal at the end of 03, so spoiler alert. In the Battle Network series, Lan had a twin brother named Hub. When they were both born, Hub passed away shortly after he was born, from a rare heart condition known as HBD. It's never stated outright what it means, but there's two likely possibilities: heartbeat disorder or heartbroken disease. Lan's dad, being the genius that he is, uses Hub's DNA to make a net Navi called Megaman.exe. But yeah, that's a big reveal at the first Mega Man Battle Network game, so spoiler alert. Yeah, Lumine gave Axel the coronavirus, and that's why we never see him in the Zero series. Alright, the end of X8 is very ambiguous. We haven't gotten a real conclusion to it, and it was released way back in 2004. At the end of X8, Axel, being the dummy that he is, approaches Lumine, who's basically dead already, and out of Lumine's body comes out a dang tentacle and it smacks Axel right on the head and it cracks a crystal on it. And then Axel falls unconscious. After this, we're shown the three main characters going down the elevator to save Axel's life. X is holding Axel, and from his crystal that's been broken, there's a purple light emitting from it. So he most likely has the Sigma virus and is going to end up going Maverick, but we don't know, man. Like I said, X8 came out in 2004. Maybe in 2024 we'll get an X9, but yeah, don't be like Axel. In X5, the Mavericks have unique names. Allison Court, who's also the voice actor of Claire Redfield from the Resident Evil games, was in charge of the localization for the game. And because her then husband at the time was a big fan of Guns N' Roses, she decided to name the Mavericks after the band members. Duff McKagan became Duff McWhalen, Axl Rose became Axl the Red, Slash became Grizzly Slash, Izzy Stradlin became Izzy Glow, Steven Adler became Squid Adler, Dizzy Reed became Dark Dizzy, and Matt Sorum became Matt Rex. And for the Skyver, somebody named Michael High in the Sky Monron was picked. He was from a different band named Hanoi Rocks, but he was a frequent collaborator with Guns N' Roses. KJ Inafune stated that he intended X5 to be in the final game in the X series, and after that he was going to work on the Zero series, but Capcom said nope, and they made X6. And Inafune had to change the plot of Zero, because they retconned some events in X5, and it makes you wonder what kind of game and story we would have had for the Zero series had we not gotten any more X games. But I guess we did get that in the end because we haven't gotten any more X games, because Capcom doesn't give a heck about Mega Man. This is a theory about one of the X Hunters, a short and old man robot. In the game, and especially in the Japanese version, there's some interesting dialogue, and the whole plot of the game revolves around the X Hunters looking for Zero's parts after he blew himself the heck up. So they wanted to get all his parts so they can rebuild him, and if Serges is Wily, then he would know how to rebuild Zero, because Dr. Wily created Zero if you didn't know already. And X and Zero are pretty old but advanced robots for their time, and if anybody knows how to build Zero, then it would be Wily. But yeah, there's also some hints in X4 and X5 that Sigma might also know how to recreate Zero too, but this isn't about him. But yeah, it kind of implies that Serges might be a robotic body for Wily, but he doesn't really act like it. And we never hear from Serges after X2. Yeah, Quint is Megaman from a peaceful future, but Wily built a time machine and stole him, and then he reprogrammed him into becoming Quint. He uses a weird combination of a pogo stick and a jackhammer for a weapon, and we first see him in Megaman 2 on Game Boy, but he also makes a return in Megaman 5 on the Game Boy. He has also made some appearances in the comics. His name also comes from the word quintet. Yeah, a lot of Mega Man characters have a lot of musical references in their names.
Burn to the ground! 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 Burn! Burn! Burn to the ground! Burn to burn!
For some reason in Mega Man 2 on Game Boy, his name is written as Clashman, which is what they call him in Japan, but in the US he's known as Crashman. It might be a translation error, but I think in Japan sometimes the L and R's are used interchangeably, so that's why when we translate stuff in Japanese some of the words kinda sound weird but yeah, Crash and Clash are similar enough so it wouldn't make a huge difference what you name him. This is a glitch that you can do in Bubble Man stage. It's mostly used in speedruns for, you know, speed, but you have to beat Heatman and Airman to get the items from him. Item 1 and 2. And like I said before, Airman is pretty tough to beat, and Heatman isn't too easy either, and his weakness is Bubble Man's weapon, so doing this in a regular game session isn't as beneficial, so unless you want to speedrun Mega Man 2, then go right ahead. The Elf Wars is an event that we've heard about and read about in the games, and it has been mentioned by other characters, but we haven't seen much of it. It takes place after the X series, but before the Zero series, and it happens after X is finally able to get rid of Sigma for good. This war only lasted 4 years, but it is said to be one of the worst wars in the series. 90% of all Reploids and 60% of all humans were wiped out. Well, whatever was left of humanity after Sigma's genocidal acts on humanity, but yeah, he did a lot of horrible things to them. Before the war happened, X used the help of the Mother Elf to finish off the Sigma virus for good, but a man named Dr. Wily had different ideals and plans from X, but X wasn't having none of it. So Dr. Wily decided to steal the Mother Elf and corrupt her, and thus starting the Elf Wars. So Dr. Wily used the Mother Elf and Omega to wage war on everybody, and eventually he was defeated by X and Zero, but I left a lot out, so if you want to know more, there's probably a huge video about this event. But yeah, after the war happens, 100 years go by until we pick up the story again, where we play as Zero in the Zero series, and we get to see how the world has changed. The whole series pretty much revolves around their creations. Wily is jealous because Light keeps on getting recognition, and it seems like Wily starts to become a bit more crazy, or at least a bit more obsessed with surpassing Light, and when they were both near their death, they built their greatest creations yet. X and Zero. After Light built X, he sealed them away for what was supposed to be 30 years, but he wasn't found until 100 years later. In Zero, well, we don't really know much about Zero's creation. All we know is that Wily built him to be very strong and almost invincible. When Zero eventually does wake up, he pretty much lays waste to anybody and anything that goes near him, until Sigma comes along and bonks him on the head, and he was infected by something in Zero's crystal. It was probably like a program to keep Zero subservient so he doesn't end up killing Wily. But yeah, as Sigma got infected, it pretty much like morphed and changed and pretty much evolved inside of Sigma because of his thoughts about getting rid of humanity, and he created the Sigma virus, and that makes robots go crazy, and then he started going on with the human genocide until the Mother Elf finishes him off, and then the Elf Wars happen, and then after that, Wily kills the majority of all Reploids and humans with the Elf Wars, and then we get onto the Zero series, where a bunch of stuff happens, and there's Reploid genocide happening in that one. And then we get into the ZX series where not a lot happens, but there's a lot of things happening in behind the scenes. And if you believe Legends comes after Zero, then there's no more humans in the world left, because the world got flooded and I guess the humans end up going extinct. So yeah, blame Dr. Light and Dr. Wily for that. A bondman is a slave, at least according to Oxford's dictionary. But no, Bondman was originally supposed to be in the first Megaman game. He used a powerful adhesive to attack and make you all sticky, but he was cut due to game limitations, and he was never heard from again. He has been mentioned a few times, but he never made a reappearance, not even in the PSP remake Megaman Powered Up. This is a Brazilian comic licensed by Capcom. It's very strange, it has some sexual content, it's got cussing, it's got Brazilian references, it's just wacky and it's great. Every issue pretty much has a different artist working on it, so that's why you'll see an art style change from issue to issue. You can tell the artist is influenced by anime and manga. Also, X is way too epic in this. I didn't get too far into it, but from what I read I really enjoyed it. It's basically an official fanfic. The entire story is too much to get into. It takes place after Megaman 8, after Wily has taken over the world with new robots called Neo Mavericks, and we meet X in this too. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens, but yeah, just give it a read. You won't regret it. Wily created Zero, and to our knowledge he is the last of his creations. We don't have a lot of information about why he made Zero, but it was probably just for world domination. He was very violent and crazy and out of control, so Wily had something embedded into his crystal to subdue him. But yeah, to our knowledge, Zero is his last surviving creation. It's kinda ironic that Light's X and Wily's Zero are somewhat similar. They are both highly advanced robots for their time and for the future. Maybe Wily was just as good as Light. No, this is not some hot and steamy fanfic. It was a fan game created by this guy, a Singaporean developer in 2012. He created it privately until he showed it to Capcom's senior VP at EVO 2012. And I guess after he showed him the game, they decided to help him with the development of the game for the 25th anniversary. You play as Megaman and you fight characters from Street Fighter, so if you want to play it you can because it's on their website. This year will be the game's 10th anniversary, but Capcom doesn't give a heck about Mega Man. Yeah, throughout ZX Admin, we aren't really told what the A in Model A stood for. Some people probably thought it meant Axel, which they both have similar abilities. But in Advent, we meet three guys known as the Sage Trinity: Thomas, Mikhail, and Albert, whose names are a reference to characters in the classic series: Thomas Light, Mikhail Cossack, and Albert Wily, who themselves are based off of real people: Thomas Edison, Mikhail Gorbachev, and Albert Einstein. But now back to the topic. It's revealed that Albert had ulterior motives. He made Gray, or if you're playing as Ash, then he made or impregnated a woman to make Ash so they could be a successor to him if his plans goes wrong, or if he dies. Gray, being the crazy kid that he is, stops him. Or if you play as Ash, who likes booty, then you can stop Albert as Ash. But yeah, it's kind of a plot twist, so spoiler alert.
You wouldn't be so tough without that helmet, little brother.
You're on, Proto Man. Plasma power! Missed me again, number one, son.
But I won't miss this time.
Oh no! He's gonna blast President Lincoln!
Ha! I knew you'd risk yourself for Mr. Lincoln.
Mamoru is a character in Mega Man Battle Network 3, and he suffers from HBD, and he is one of the only known survivors of it. He's been hospitalized since he was 3, and we see him in the game a few times. We later find out that Mamoru is an administrator of the Undernet, which is basically the Darknet of the series. His father is also the one who created it, so I guess he wanted him to be a part of it. But yeah, I guess it's kind of a big shock that this sickly little kid is an admin of what is essentially the dark web. But despite its importance as a game and series, he isn't shown again. And I guess Serenade is a character who's also like a boss or a big name in the Undernet. And we see Serenade a few times, and we don't really know Serenade's operator, but I guess it's been suggested and implied that Mamoru is his operator, so... Also, his wheelchair also has some similar symbols to Serenade, so... yeah. In Base's ending, we see a silhouette of Wily's newest robot. This robot resembles Zero. Well, to be more specific, it resembles Zero's after X1, when he gets rebuilt in X2. So this might also be more evidence for Wily being Serges. And it also implies that Wily started working on Zero after Megaman 8. And the only other person to know about Zero's existence is Base, but Base don't give a heck. He calls Zero a girly girl, and he doesn't give a heck about him or Wily. But yeah, maybe he's just jealous because Zero has a lot of hair. Alright, there it is. That's the end of the video. I'm already working on the second layer, so that one should be out in a while or whenever the heck I feel like it. If I got anything wrong, you can tell me in the comments and I'll correct myself in the next video, so you know, don't be afraid to tell me I'm wrong because I usually am, but anyways, I'm out of here, man.